exception, clear exception. So there is no question in my humble mind, and I can correct it as my agreement. And here we learn from the scholar. We have a question, inshallah, evidence, we should discuss it. There's no question in my mind that the ayah is definitive not only in narration, but definitive also in meaning. There could be no argument. This has been supported also by the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, which is the second most important source of Sharia. It has been the ijma' of the companion of the Prophet ﷺ, the following generation known as Tabi'een, and those who even followed that third generation, they were said the Tabi'een of the Tabi'een, the followers of the companions of the Prophet ﷺ, who were his contemporaries and learned directly from him. We don't know of any scholars in the past or present among those who have really deep knowledge of Sharia who ever disputed this issue. You might find people here and there who want to mold Islam to satisfy this or that. And that leads us directly to the fourth question of five. The fifth one will be belief in Allah. Why is that? Why is that? And if a person even is not a believer in Islam, like I said earlier, you might say, isn't that distinction? Isn't that discrimination? Isn't that deprivation of women from a right or privilege given to men? So we have to really make clear in our mind, from whose perspective are we trying to answer that question? If the person who is asking that question does not believe in Islam, does not believe in the scripture of Islam, does not believe in the Prophet of Islam, and some even don't believe in God to start with, and you think that you can persuade them or convince them, forget it. You can explain as best as you can. But if there is no such imani base of faith and acceptance of authority, marja'iyah, where to get our credibility of credible knowledge, then of course you would go in all kinds of circles. You'll never be able to communicate your point. If it is from the standpoint of someone who is a Muslim even, and his main objective or her main objective is simply to mold Islam according to what people want. Tailor-made Islam, because that's the pattern that people consider to be advanced, liberal, fair, consistent with human rights, and all these kinds of slogans that we keep here. Then in that case, again, it's up to you. It's appropriate. If you want to shape Islam according to this, that's a different perspective altogether. I'm not going to deal with any of either of these perspectives. But how can a Muslim answer from an Islamic perspective? Answer to himself or herself only? No. Answer to others also. Tell them outside. You don't have to beat around the bush. For the Muslim, the Quran is quite clear. Having shown that this is in the word of Allah verbatim in the Quran, then a Muslim, as instructed in the Quran, says it is not befitting for a believing man or believing woman, when Allah and His Messenger, meaning Quran and Sunnah, have decided in a given matter that you will have any choice therein. The Quran says you put yourself ahead of Allah and His Messenger. Part of believing even in the first pillar of Islam, the foundation of faith, Tawheed, that the knowledge, wisdom, and fairness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is unquestioned. Allah is neither male or female. Allah doesn't side with one group or the other. As the Quran says, إِنَّ أَكْرَمَكُمْ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ أَتْقَاكُمْ. The best of you in the sight of Allah is the most pious, the most righteous. Allah doesn't know the distinction and biases that we humans do. We start with that, with a clarity, no apology. But when we try to explain or think of other reasons, there is no harm to seek reasons. But we don't put these reasons as a precondition to abide by the law of Allah. That's the main difference. No problem. Look at wisdom. Traditionally, there have been many scholars in the past and present who said that one of the main reasons for this is that it is known, and psychologists testify to it, that men, generally speaking, by their very nature, physically, logically, are a little bit more aggressive than women. So they tend to be more domineering. Even Allah might have wisdom for that also, in some distinction between men and women, so that the roles would be complementary, because you might need certain quality in some situation, you need another quality in another situation. But nobody really disputes that. There are exceptions, but generally speaking, men are more aggressive. And that's why, while both men and women can commit violence against their spouses, a woman is capable of beating her husband, especially if she has a black belt karate, and she's capable even of murdering her husband. It happens. But when you look at the statistics of family violence, almost all of the violence is male on female type of violence. So given that fact, if a Muslim male gets married with his nature, even if he's a good righteous Muslim, he's a male. Common traits of males as well. If he's married to a woman of the people of the book, for example, a Christian woman, his religion acknowledges her religion. He acknowledges her prophet as one of his own prophets, whether Moses or Jesus, peace be upon them. Okay? He acknowledges the original revelation that came because the Quran mentioned the Holy Scripture, even if they have changed or lost, or some of which still, the essence and the core is still in our hands. So he believes in the Scripture. Can we really say honestly, as a general rule, that there is any major Christian movement or section? There are some, but really any major group of Christians who say, yeah, Muhammad is the Prophet ﷺ, the Quran is the word of Allah, because they become Muslim automatically. If really they mean what they say. That means the same guarantee for the freedom of a Christian woman to practice her faith under a Muslim husband is fully guaranteed. And if he sees Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he should not interfere in the least in her belief or her religious practice, and as Imam Shafi said, he has to take her to her church if she wanted to go. Without interference or intimidation, the Quran is full of ayat about freedom of conscience and freedom of worship. Can we have the same guarantee by someone who does not believe in her prophet, if not believing that Prophet Muhammad, as a false prophet or this or that, does not believe in her book? They say a book that is just a hodgepodge collection of things from the Bible and other sources, not revelation from Allah. Muhammad wrote the Quran. How can we have that guarantee on the whole that a Muslim woman will be free to believe, free to worship without intimidation or pressure? Of course, there might be awfully nice people who will not do that, but the rules are not made for exception. And as I gave the example in the Arabic khutbah, when there is a red light, it means stop, and stop means stop. It's independent whether the street is crowded or not. It is independent whether we come to the intersection and look right and left, and it is late night, there is no single car to say, all right, I go through the red light. No, the rule is the rule, because that covers the normative type of situation. Now, there is another reason also. When people say, why should a Muslim woman be deprived of an advantage? And let me ask this, what advantage is there to get married to someone who does not share even your spiritual belief and relationship with God and the authority of this information? It is not a privilege. It is allowed for men, it is allowed for wisdom behind it. And one possible aspect of that wisdom, first, is limited cases to show goodwill towards the people of the book. You don't get to get hundreds of millions of Muslims doing that. For example, Prophet Muhammad married a woman from a Christian background, a couple of women from Jewish background. He married a woman who was a daughter of his arch enemy Abu Sufyan, and he was an idolatrous person until Allah guided him. Examples, and he was a Muslim. Of course, in that case, one can understand a limited goodwill gesture to show that there is something that joins us as people of the book and Muslims as well. There is a third item, inshallah I finish quickly, I'm sorry. This topic is very important, and forgive me for this, a few minutes of time to spend more time going around to find a party, watch another movie. Anyway, a third reason that occurred to my humble mind, and I ask people of knowledge to correct me, is only an assumption that in the early days of Islam, a lot of Muslims felt enthusiastic of going around. I'm not talking about the army, even individual people, Sufis, mystics, merchants, to go around the world to share the message of Islam. These were not people who could go to the farthest part of the land by a 7.747 and come every month if they're married to see their family. Sometimes